Community approach to the way forward. All of the problems associated with drinking, drug use and risk-taking behaviour that often lead to violence with our youths cannot be solved by police alone. What we've said many, many times, we can't arrest our way out of this. We need people to work with us. We all need to work together. The police, all levels of government and the community all need to work together to create cultural change. It is yet another challenge, but one that we are dedicated to. Sadly, in recent years, as a society, we've taken our eye off the ball. The drinking culture has been allowed to transform, driven onwards by businesses keen to make profit and to exploit young people, providing them with the means to drink until they are excessively drunk. What has followed has been an alarming upsurge in late-night violence. This might sound alarmist, but for our police who are tasked with patrolling our city streets on Friday and Saturday night, it is a reality. Until we collectively start talking honestly and recognise the fragility of the current situation, it will be impossible to make genuine efforts to reform a drinking culture that has become all too destructive in its nature. We all have a part to play and a stake in the future of our country. What is clear is that achieving a genuine and sustainable change in cultural attitudes and behaviour will require patience. Of course, there are things we can do here and now to set the change in motion. But the critics who demand an end tomorrow must also recognise that arriving at our desired end could take decades. It's a huge challenge, but one we must all rise to. I believe Victoria is well positioned to play a key role in leading the nation as it strives to set a new course for the future. Victoria Police has made a huge investment in enforcing current liquor and public safety laws in recent years. The organisation has a statewide liquor licensing task force, Task Force Razon, which has visited about 1,600 licensed premises last year and issued over 320 penalty notices for liquor licensing offences. Measures such as this and as those that I've mentioned earlier around the Safe Streets Task Force are proof that Victoria Police is playing its part in the search for cultural change. The government also has had a very positive approach. Only by changing the community, steered by strong leadership, to change its culture can we hope to achieve a lasting change. The state government is doing its bit. The Victorian Alcohol Action Plan was launched in 2008 and was a great initiative, but more needs to be done. Governments need to build on their strong and decisive policies and initiatives that will challenge convention and make genuine inroads to tackling the problems. Most importantly, our night spots have to change, starting with more restricted alcohol trading hours. We also need to look at licence regulation. All too often in the past, a licensee has been approved with scant consideration for the impact a new club or pub will have on the amenity of a local area. When we look at the concentration of pubs and clubs in certain parts of the city, it's hard to reason how this could be sensible. If you look at the CBD of Melbourne, there's in excess of 1,600 licensed venues in the CBD of Melbourne. That's a huge number. It is not really surprising that when the bars shut in the early hours of the morning, we see hundreds of people spilling out onto the streets, drunk and sometimes open to picking a fight. Community support. It's time for Australians to reform their culture of drinking, from a drink to get drunk culture to a drink sensibly culture. This starts with people taking a greater sense of personal responsibility. We need to challenge the cultural view that says it's okay to be drunk. People will argue that surely within the confines of your own home it's acceptable, but it's not. Alcohol is a primary factor in a huge number of family and sexual assaults. These assaults ruin lives, including those of children, and should not be tolerated. In Victoria, 70% of the calls for service that Victoria Police get are alcohol related. So it's a huge driver of the work, it's a huge driver of response, it's a huge driver of service delivery for Victoria Police. Young people and risk-related behaviour. Since we've discussed alcohol-fuelled street violence, drug-taking and risk-taking by young people, it's important for me to take a few minutes also to talk about their over-representation in vehicle collisions and road fatalities. It's yet another challenge for Victoria Police. when dealing with people aged between the ages of 18 and 25 years. Youths or young people in this age group are exposed to greater risks. This age bracket amounts for about 1/4 of all people killed on our roads last year. If you're male, the chances of being killed on our roads also increases. In 2010, Victoria recorded its lowest ever road toll, with 287 people being killed on our roads. But this figure is still too high. That's 287 people who are no longer with us. It's 287 families who have lost a loved one. Worryingly though, of those 287 people, 90 were aged under 25 years of age. Our road toll analysis for 2010 has showed that speed was the major contributing factor to deaths, attributed to 30% of all fatal collisions. There is a prevailing view among young people that they are invincible, that tragedy won't happen to them, but unfortunately it does. An example of this risky behaviour in terms of driving is the Mill Park fatality 12 months ago, in which 5 teenagers were killed. What we need to do is to reach out to young people before they start driving. As I said before, many people have this bulletproof attitude. It's important that we try to reach out to them before they get behind the wheel. Victoria Police, along with other agencies such as the Traffic Accident Commission, are working together on programs and initiatives to try and change risk-taking behaviour on the road. The Cool Heads Young Driver program is a program that has run in Shepparton successfully since 2008. The local police organised for young people affected by road trauma to speak to high school students about how their experiences have affected their lives. At a session held in September last year, 25-year-old Jason told the audience how he killed a friend while hooning, driving 49 kilometres over the speed limit. He spent 5 years in jail. He admitted to the teenagers that while he hadn't meant to kill the young woman, her death was his doing. Also at this particular forum, a mother told the teenagers how her 24-year-old daughter died when her car collided with a truck. She showed a photo of her pretty young daughter and then held up a container holding her ashes. "This is her now," she said. Different variations of this program are held across the state. This program aims to demonstrate how risk-taking behaviour has consequences and how just serious those consequences can be. Victoria Police is also involved in the Fit to Drive program. It's a collaboration of government departments that aims to reduce the disproportionate representation of young people in road crashes. Various departments such as Victoria Police, the Metropolitan Fire Brigades, Vic Roads and local councils have an opportunity to participate in the program for young people that focuses on personal safety, responsibility and strategies to make them safer drivers and passengers. Fit to Drive is aimed at students in years 10, 11 and 12 and features a number of workshops, forums, presentations and community events. Parents of students in the program are also able to get involved. For many years, Victoria Police has been working with the Traffic Accident Commission, and we've worked together to produce graphic, realistic television and print adverts to warn people about dangerous driving. In 2010, Victoria celebrated 40 years of compulsory seatbelts. It was the first jurisdiction in the world to legislate the wearing of seatbelts in 1970 and remind people to belt up. Again, we joined up with the TAC, but this time we're involved with Essendon footballer Adam Hill, a Melbourne Victory player Adrian Legier, in 2 ads that highlight the importance of wearing seatbelts. Both ads intertwined the key messages of belt up or suffer the pain and the impact of collisions as they demonstrated on their football ability. For Dean Hill, being in the advert was extremely deeply personal. When he was at high school, 8 students, including himself, piled into a car. Less than 60 seconds into the journey, the car had split into 2 as it collided with a tree. 3 of the teenagers died. Young people tend to look up to and listen to sports people. So this was another initiative aimed at reaching at those at-risk teenagers to get the message through. Cultural change can happen. Let's consider drink driving. 30 years ago, it was socially unacceptable to drink and drive. Today, it is not. It's frowned upon by society, and very few of us would let our friends or family get behind the wheel after they consumed alcohol. This is what needs to happen with the broader issue of irresponsible drinking. Our members continually see the profound effects of both family violence and street assaults weekly, and it's not something anyone should have to experience. But we are dedicated to changing cultures and making a difference. The prize of success is worth fighting for. By doing this, not only can we reduce crime and antisocial behaviour, but we can improve health and well-being across the board. Thank you.